Chris here, and welcome to my channel, and welcome to this week's reading vlog. So it is the second week of June. It is extremely hot in my room, so I'm just going to run you through what I'm working on this week, as in books I'm currently in the middle of, and then maybe give you an idea of what I might pick up after that. So, right now, I don't think I've picked either of these up since June, but I'm in the middle of Pickled Petunia? Maybe? Poison Poinsettia? It's the third book in the series where we follow Mats. It's by Dahlia Donovan. I cannot think of the series name right now. It is so hot in my room that, like, my brain is just like, nope, not working. So I started that one in June and would like to get back to it. I'm also a few chapters into Camp Quilt Bag and would like to get back to this one because I was really excited to read this one and I just haven't picked it back up. I'm having one of those times where it's like, ooh, I'll read a bit of that. Oh, look at that book over there. Ooh, I'll read a bit of that. Ooh, look at that book over there. It's bad. Anyways, I'm also in the middle of In the Lives of Puppets. I believe I'm about halfway through. And I'm enjoying it, but not as much as I wish I would because I'm not in the mood to read a sci-fi. But it's overdue from the library, so I'm reading it anyways. I'm about 100 pages into my reread of The Hidden Oracle. So I'm enjoying this. We'll probably get back to it sooner rather than later. And then I'm partway through Fine, a comic about gender, and it's slower going than I thought it would be because it's a bit more emotional because I'm really relating to some of the stories that are being mentioned throughout and the POVs on gender that are being mentioned throughout. So I kind of have to read it when I'm in the right headspace. It also hasn't helped that it's hot. Other books I may get to this week that will probably be a priority are The Burning Maze and The Dark Prophecy, which are books 2 and 3. In the Trials of Apollo series, 3 will depend on whether my audiobook comes in, but I do have the audiobook for 2, so I will probably get to that. And then I might read, is it The Bone Shard Emperor? It's buried under puzzles right now because I had like a giant box with a bunch of puzzles, like it was a multi-puzzle pack. And I've tossed the other puzzles on top of the bag with books, so I'm not going to go get it. But I have the audiobook for that too, so I will probably be listening to that at some point this week. And then other than that, I have absolutely no idea. Some of it is going to be weather permitting because it's hot lately and humid. So my reading has been taking a hit because I've been doing things that are more sociable because it's just way too hot in my room to hang out. So I'm out with the noise and I cannot read if there's noise. And the noise is so loud that even with headphones in, I wouldn't be able to hear what the audiobook was saying because the noise would be so loud, and I would rather be able to hear long term than blow my eardrums to try to hear an audiobook. So I think that's my plan. I'm gonna go now though because I'm starting to sweat, and well, nobody wants to see that. So I'm gonna go cool off and read, and I will check back in with you on hopefully a cooler day to let you know if I've actually read anything. So it is Thursday, and I thought I should check in. I meant to do this yesterday, but time just kept getting away from me, and then wrestling was on, and yeah. It's also been incredibly hot. It is still incredibly hot. So sitting here without my fan on sucks. You have no idea. So I'm going to run through everything I've read really, really quickly because I wanted to give you all an update, but like, I also don't want to overheat while doing so. So first up, I finished In the Lives of Puppets. I'm giving this 4.25 stars. I enjoyed it, but like I have previously said when I talked about this book, I wasn't in the mood to read it, so I think that brought my enjoyment down a little. But I did really enjoy it. I don't think it would have gotten more than 4.5, even if I was in the right headspace. Maybe when I reread it, because I probably will eventually reread it, I'll have a different perspective, so I'll bump up my rating. But for now, it's 4.25. The audiobook is amazing. If you can get access to the audiobook, I would highly recommend it because the voice actor does a brilliant job bringing the characters to life. So 4.25 stars, very happy to have read it. But like I said, it probably would have enjoyed it more had I been in a better, more sci-fi headspace. And here is Cielo to make it even hotter. Then I read Fine, a comic about gender, and I gave this book 5 stars. I really enjoyed this. It was quite interesting seeing all the different topics that Rhea chose to highlight from a bunch of different perspectives, which just goes to show that everybody has their kind of own journey when it comes to gender and expression and all that kind of stuff. It definitely made me think, and I like that out of my nonfiction, so if it sounds interesting, I would recommend it. I enjoyed it. Cielo, you are not helping. I'm trying to keep her off my desk so she doesn't turn my computer on because my computer's fan is busted, as it has been since I bought it, and it can't handle the heat. I have to have the fan on the computer. So, anyways. It is so much easier to film when the cats aren't in my room. Anyways, I enjoyed this, would recommend it, found it very thought-provoking. Then I did my reread of The Hidden Oracle. I gave it 5 stars. I love this series. This is the 3rd series set in the Percy Jackson universe, and in this one we're following the god Apollo, and he has managed to tick off Zeus, and we kind of see how that affects his life. Apollo is my favorite character in the series. I laugh throughout the entire book. It is just an absolutely brilliant series, and I am very much enjoying my reread of it. Speaking of that, I have started book 2, The Dark Prophecy. I'm on page 62, so making a little bit of progress there. The audiobooks are amazing. The voice actor brings Apollo to life beautifully. I love the series, and I'm very excited to be in my reread of it and really want to get back to this one. Then I read The Wishing Game, which I gave 4.5 stars. So this follows a woman named Lucy who is like a teacher's aide and really wants to foster this boy named Christopher. Christopher is one of her students, and he lost his parents, and she's become extremely attached to him and kind of wants to foster to adopt. Unfortunately, on a teacher's aide's salary, she can't really afford to do so and has been saving every penny she possibly can. Then she gets a lucky break. Jake Masterson, who is the author of the Clock Island books, decides to hold a contest for the newest Clock Island book. And Lucy is one of the people that is invited to participate in this contest. And if she wins, she will get the only copy of the newest Clock Island book. And the Clock Island series is extremely popular, extremely famous, and it's been years since he's released a new book. So she ends up going to Clock Island to compete to win a copy of this book. And of course, if she wins, she would then be able to sell the book to gain the money to, well, adopt Christopher. And that is essentially the entire story. I really enjoyed this book. I enjoyed Lucy's relationship with Christopher and how much she cared about him. I enjoyed getting to see her go to Clock Island and the puzzles that happened there and the relationships that she developed while she was there. I was just into this book from the moment go. It was just missing that one thing that made it 5 stars. So if it sounds interesting, I would recommend it because I really, really enjoyed it. Then I read The Civil War of Amos Abernathy, and I gave this book 5 stars. I absolutely adored this book. So this follows Amos, and he works at the Chicory County Living History Park as a historical reenactor. Well, I say works, volunteers. And he's done it almost his entire life. His mom works there, and there is a contest to kind of create a new exhibit. Like he drafts a proposal for a new exhibit because there's going to be one, and he decides to look into LGBTQ plus members of his area or history in general, because he feels like there must have been people who identified that way, but he doesn't really know their stories. It is during this research that he comes across Albert, who is a Union soldier who was most definitely a trans man, and he ends up writing like this journal to Albert where he talks about some of the things that are going on in his life that he is dealing with, on top of his search for other people like himself and like Albert. And it is just a really, really interesting book. I really enjoyed the idea of, okay, we're missing something. We do all of these historical reenactments, and why are there no queer representation in these stories? Because these people existed, and it brings up a question of, who else are we overlooking? How much are we overlooking? What else are we missing? And it's just a brilliant story of Amos kind of digging into the past and discovering things about history that he didn't know, while also showcasing some of the real life stuff he's dealing with, where he lives. And I really connected with it. I flew through this. I did not want to put it down once I picked it up. Easy 5 stars. Would highly recommend you check it out. Then I read The Spectacular by Fiona Davis, and I gave this book 3.5 stars. This is a dual timeline historical fiction. So this book follows Marion, who ends up working as a Rockette in the late 1950s. And at the same time, there's this big Apple bomber who is targeting different popular locations with bombs. So we see her kind of start her journey in life in New York City, working for the Rockettes. She ends up meeting Dr. Peter Griggs, who ends up involved in the investigation about this big Apple bomber. And Marion ends up involved as well for her own reasons. And it is just literally a look at Marion's life as a Rockette and dealing with this big city bomber. We do get some flash forwards, I guess, to Marion's current day life, and we learn little tidbits as we go. I don't know. This just didn't click with me the way I wanted it to. I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it. So I think 3.5 is fair, because it's not one I could see myself rereading. It's one I probably could have put down and walked away from and not picked back up, but I also don't regret reading it, if that makes sense. I also apologize for my phone going off in the background. I just realized it was doing that. Normally, I put my old phone on silent. I have it set up for Twitter alerts because sometimes my main phone does not get them. Anyways, so sorry about that. I enjoyed this book for what it was. It's not a new favorite or anything, and my mom actually wasn't sure I would enjoy it, and she was right. It wasn't my favorite, but I didn't hate it, so yeah. I don't really have much more to say about it. Then I read The Beautiful Something Else by Ash Van Otterloo, and I gave this book 4 stars. In this book, we're following Sparrow, whose mom is struggling and ends up spiraling out of control, which leads to Sparrow going to stay with her aunt. While Sparrow is at her aunt's, Sparrow starts to have some more freedom, as Sparrow no longer needs to worry about their mom and really starts to explore who they are and what they want out of life. They also get help from their shadow, which is why it gets 4 stars, because I'm not sure I enjoyed the kind of interactions between Sparrow and her shadow, because it felt a little almost fantasy-esque in a book that really felt more like a hard-hitting contemporary. So I didn't necessarily love that aspect, because I think if it didn't have that, it probably would have gotten 5 stars. I did enjoy Sparrow figuring themselves out and really getting to kind of focus on themselves for a change instead of having to try to take care of their mom. I enjoyed seeing their relationship with their aunt develop and the friends that they make once they're at their aunt's, and how that plays into their journey of self-discovery. I enjoyed this book, but like I said, I had that one aspect that I wasn't super into, which brought my rating down a little bit, but I still enjoyed it. That's it for books I finished. Now I'm going to quickly run you through the books that I'm in the midst of, because I'm hot and I really want to get off camera so I can turn the fan back on. First up is Inkblood Sister Scribe, and I'm like 50 pages in. This isn't capturing my attention so far, so I'm going to give it a little bit more, and if it's still not capturing my attention, I will probably DNF it. All I know is right now we're following 2 sisters, and they're slightly estranged, and there's magic involved somehow, so we will see if it can pull me in and make me want to continue the story. I'm reading Pride, An Inspirational History of the LGBTQ+ Movement, and I'm on page 84, so I'm almost done with this. It is quite fascinating to see all of these different time periods in queer history and different queer individuals that existed and their influence and how their lives played out. So I'm enjoying my read of this one and learning more about the queer community and queer history. I've started The Bone Shard Emperor. I'm on page 106, so I'm making decent progress in this. I'm enjoying book 2. Very curious to see where things are going to go because it's already had a bit of an interesting start. And then the last book I'm partway through is Different Kinds of Fruit by Kyle Luckoff, and I'm on page 162, and this follows Annabelle, who ends up meeting a kid at school named Bailey who is new, and Bailey is non-binary, and it really changes Annabelle's life because she's never met somebody who's non-binary, and it sets her off asking a lot of questions, and she learned some things about her family that she didn't know because of Bailey ending up in her life, and I'm really enjoying it so far. I would really, really like to finish it this week. We shall see if that happens. But yeah, that's my update. I'm sorry if it's not as in-depth as I usually do when I talk about these books, but I am hot and it is really affecting my concentration, and I really just want to turn my fan back on and chill. So I did want to film though and let you know what I had read because I've read quite a bit this week despite the heat. So that is my update. Hopefully I can finish a few more books. Like, I think these two are pretty much a given. I should be able to get through both of these, no problem. I don't know about, like I said, Ink Blood Sister Scribe. Yeah. This feels very much like I might DNF it, and then I'm enjoying The Bone Shard Emperor, but I don't see myself finishing that before the end of this vlog. So that is my update. I'm going to go cool off. So I will check back in with you after midnight on Friday into Saturday, however you want to look at that, or sometime Saturday afternoon to let you know how I did and wrap this vlog up. Sunday, and I'm checking in because I want to wrap this vlog up, and it's actually going to be an 8-day vlog. Surprise! Totally forgot to check in. I have no idea where I left off. I've done it before where I've been able to wrap up because I had very obvious spots where I left off, but I legitimately picked up The Bone Shard Emperor today and started listening to it again. So I legitimately could not tell you where I was yesterday versus today. So I'm just going to lump in the 15th. So you get an 8-day vlog. I was probably going to do that at some point anyways. Maybe. I don't know. It's 8 days. It's whatever. This heat is killing me. I don't know who ordered it, but I'm not happy with them. It's awful. I'm broiling right now. I do not want the fan on. I do not want to have my hair down. But I'm also in the kind of headspace where having my hair up is making me feel a little bit more feminine than I would like, and my baseball cap makes me feel more masculine, and that's the headspace I'm in. So I didn't want to be more uncomfortable on camera than I was already going to be. Anyways, and I tried to test with my fan, but like, it's atrociously bad how well this camera picks up ambient sounds. So I'm going to run you through what I've read since I last checked in with you, or at least run you through what I think I've read since I last checked in with you, and wrap this vlog up. So the first thing I'm going to say is that I had started Ink Blood Sister Scribe. I believe I mentioned that in the last clip, and I'm DNFing it. I'm on page 52. Here's my bookmark. I'm taking it out now, and I just don't care. I put this down. It took me multiple days to get through that 52 pages, and it's just not hooking me. I think this might be a temporary DNF. If I hear a lot of really good things about it, I may give it another try. But for now, it is just not the type of book I want to be reading, and I don't want to go in a slump, even if it turns out to be a really good book, trying to get myself to the point where I'm enjoying it. So I'm going to DNF this. I finished An Inspirational History of the LGBTQ plus movement, and I'm giving this book 4.25 stars. I really enjoyed it. There was a lot of stuff that made me think. I felt like I learned a lot of stuff, but it also was a book I probably shouldn't have been reading given the headspace that I'm in, because it talked about a lot of the awful things that have happened to members of the community and the ways we've been treated and the things we've kind of had to overcome and how we're still fighting. So not the best headspace to read something like that, but I still enjoyed it. So I might have enjoyed it more had I been in a better headspace, but I think 4.25 is fair for how I felt about it in the moment while I was reading it. Then I finished Different Kinds of Fruit by Kyle Luckoff, and I gave this book 4.5 stars. This might have been a 5 had I read it in a better headspace, because we're dealing with Annabelle, and she ends up with a new classmate this year who is Bailey, and Bailey is non-binary, and this kind of throws Annabelle into the deep end when it comes to the LGBTQ plus community, and she starts learning all of these things, and she has to deal with some jerks, some people who don't see people in the LGBTQ plus community as valid. And there's definitely some pushback on that in various ways throughout this book. So again, probably not the right headspace to read it, but I think it's a very important book, and I think it was very well handled, seeing things from Annabelle's point of view and kind of exploring Annabelle, exploring the queer community and figuring some things out and learning things that she didn't know about people around her and herself and all that jazz. So I really enjoyed the journey Annabelle went on. I think it was just another thing of amazing book, wrong time for me to read it based on my headspace. And we do have a Cielo. You can see her tail. Oh, she's coming over. I don't really want you to come over. It's hot, and you're going to be hot. You're not going to want to sit here. Anyways, I would recommend this book if it sounds interesting. Get down. I don't want to play with you right now. Then, like I said, I made some more progress in The Bone Shard Daughter. Nope. The Bone Shard Emperor. The Bone Shard Daughter is the first book. I don't think I have a bookmark in here that's accurate. No, I definitely don't. I'm somewhere in there. I have 6 hours left in the audiobook, which will take me about 2 hours because I'm listening to it at 3 times speed. I'm really, really enjoying this. Some very interesting things just went down at the point I'm at, and I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how this book wraps up and where it leaves things for the final book in the trilogy. So I'm excited to hopefully get through that in the coming week. Then I read Deadly Ever After, which is the, I believe, most recent book in the Lighthouse Library Mystery Series, and I gave this book 4.25 stars. In this one, Lucy has to deal with an ex-boyfriend coming to town with his mom. And even though she's not interested in getting back together with him, his mother is very helpful. And then she ends up finding the body of her ex's father, which is bad enough, but his family didn't know he was there, so nobody has any clue why he was visiting Lucy's town randomly, because he was supposed to be in Boston where he lives. So Lucy gets drawn into investigating, of course, and we kind of go through things and see her try to put the pieces together as to who could have had it out for her ex's father. I really enjoyed the mystery in this one. It was quite interesting to see her dealing with her ex and the drama that brought. There was a lot of other things going on which also added to this book and made me very invested in the story. I ripped through this, and it was absolutely the book I needed. I had needed a nice little cozy mystery as a palate cleanser, so I think it was really smart for me to pick this up last night. And then the only other update I have for you is that I started Lost Legends of Nothing, which is the second book in the Nothing series, and I'm about this far in. and I've paused it because I remember reading the first book. And I remember some very basic information about the first book. And I started this one and went, who are you? Why are you doing that? What is going on? And this book is too short, given that it's a graphic novel, for me to spend a majority of it wondering who these people are, how they fit into the story, and trying to jog my memory. So I've paused it because I've requested the first book from the library. And I'm going to reread the first book so that I can read the second and have a clue as to who some of these people are and what was happening to them at the end of book one, because I legitimately do not remember, because I'm, based on the little bit I've read, completely lost. So I will definitely be reading this. I'm just going to have to pause for now until I can read book one first. So that is my update. That was my 8 days of reading. I think I did a decent job. I feel like the last time I checked in was like 2 months ago, even though I know it wasn't. It's been like 2 days, 3 days, something like that. This heat is kicking my butt, people. It really, really is. I'm so tired of being hot. I am somebody who, even as a kid, was not like, woo, winter. And now I'm sitting here at 36 years old going, can it be winter yet? I miss winter. I miss being cold. I miss the snow. I miss the lack of bugs. I miss not sweating constantly. I miss being able to sleep, because let me tell you, when it's hot, it is so hard to sleep. And I am somebody who struggles to sleep if I'm not under the covers. Like, I need covers to sleep. So it's been even extra hard because I can't be under the covers, because if I'm under the covers, I'm broiling. And if I'm not under the covers, well, then I'm not under the covers, so I struggle to sleep. Oh, I also miss the lack of pollen. There's no pollen in winter. And my allergies haven't been great either. So, yeah, if winter could come early this year, that would be fantastic. Otherwise, I'm just going to have to sit here and gut out the heat, which is why you haven't gotten a vlog from me in a while. So I know that when you see this, you probably have gotten a slew of them, but the reason those vlogs were so behind is because I can't imagine sitting down and editing and then watching it and then uploading it and then doing all of the captions and the music and the thumbnail. It's so hot. And my room is so hot that I don't want to sit in here and do all of that. So, that's why you're not getting anything from me. And the captions, man. I'm terrified about the captions because my computer overheats and because of the busted fan shuts itself off. So, I'm terrified that I'm going to get partway through the captions, have forgotten to save, and my computer is going to shut off and I'm going to have to start over. So, that is definitely a worry of mine. So I'm tempted to get my videos edited, get them published so that you guys have them, and then work on the captions. That way I'm not backing myself up and stressing myself out over it, because then I can do it whenever I have a free minute and work on it and kind of do it a little bit at a time so that I'm eventually getting all the captions right, but like not stressing my computer out to do it, if that makes sense. Or me, because sometimes it is really, really hard to sit here in the heat and do anything or concentrate on anything. So, yeah, speaking of that heat, I'm going to go because so hot. But, you want to say bye, Cielo? She said purr. I don't know if that camera picked it up, but she definitely purred at you guys. So, that's it for this vlog. All of my social media is listed in the description below if you'd like to come chat with me. If you've made it this far in the video, leave me a squirrel emoji because I just glanced at my squirrel calendar. Like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!